Welcome back again to Rinka's Kitchen. I have another family favorite recipe that I'd like to share with you. This is from my grandmother and mother's recipe, and it is called Hungarian bread dumplings with fried sauerkraut. Zsemlegombóc Dinszelt Savanyúkapostaval. So what you would need for the dumplings is 1.5 cups of diced ham, 3 eggs, 2 cups unflavored bread cubes, 3 cups flour, 5 teaspoons of salt, water, 2 teaspoons of margarine or butter. Now for the sauerkraut that goes along with the dumplings, because this is what my mother and grandmother would always serve with the dumplings, is 1 liter of sauerkraut, so in sort of a jar, sort of a 1 liter jar, and 3 teaspoons of vegetable oil and 1 teaspoon of vegeta or vegetable base. So what I did was, in a mixing bowl, I add and mix together flour and 4 teaspoons of salt. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to add the salt into the flour, and I'm going to mix it. Mix the salt and the flour together. So you want to use a large mixing bowl because then you have a lot of room to work in, and it's just easier to stir. Okay, so with a fork I beat together 3 eggs, and I'm going to add that to the flour and the salt mixture. So I'm going to start doing that. And then I'm going to start adding the water to it. Now I've got about 2 cups of water, so I'm just going to add a little bit at a time, and I'm going to start mixing it together. And the consistency should be sticky. It shouldn't be a sort of a batter type thing. It should be almost like a dough-like mixture. So I'm just going to keep adding a little bit at a time, and you may not need 2 cups of water. I'm just going to start to, there is quite a bit of flour here, so I've got 2 cups of water here so far. And you want to be careful not to add too much to it. I think I'll probably be needing a little bit more than 2 cups, but we'll see. You just keep working it until it gets to a sticky consistency, and I'll just show you what it should actually look like. Now this is a little bit too thick yet, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this, and I'm going to stir this together, the flour and the salt together. So it's almost, yeah, it's about right. So 2 cups should be actually enough for this recipe. I'm just going to move this over so that you can see it better. And as I mentioned, sauerkraut is served with this dish because it has ham. The dumplings have ham inside of them. Maybe just a touch bit. Get it a little bit more wet. You don't want to get it too soggy. And you just keep working it into there. And then what I do is I add the 2 cups of flavored or unflavored bread cubes. So this you mix into the mixture. Now the breadcrumbs will soften as you're mixing them into the so you want to kind of fold it in there. And then you add your 1 cup of ham. So you keep stirring that around. Or actually, it's 1.5 cups of diced ham, and I use the smoked ham. So you keep stirring that into the dough. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to put that into the boiling water. So what I have on the stove here is a big crock pot, and I put 1 teaspoon of salt in it. So I'm bringing it to a boil, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tablespoon and a teaspoon, and what I'm going to do, this is just easier to do, you're going to take about that much, and you're going to put that much and use your teaspoon to scrape it off and put it into the hot water. So the dumplings will be about this size. Now you can make them bigger. You can use actually a bigger spoon than this, but this is the size that my mother would use. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And then of course with the sauerkraut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to saute sauerkraut in some vegetable oil at about medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be slightly browned, and I'm going to add my vegeta or a vegetable base into that sauerkraut, and that's what I'm going to be serving with the dumplings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue stirring this dumpling recipe together, breaded dumpling recipe together, and I'm going to be showing you what they look like when they're coming out of the water. So I will talk to you more about that when I come back. Welcome back again to Rinka's Kitchen. I put together a recipe called breaded dumplings with sauerkraut. So what I'm doing now is I am cooking up the dumplings. So I've added all the ingredients, the flour, the ham, the water, the salt, and the breadcrumbs together, and I made them into a sticky put them together in a sticky consistency. And I added also three hand beaten eggs, like with a fork. So I've sort of lightly beaten eggs with 3 whole eggs with a fork, and I use brown eggs today. So I'm going to show you what it's sort of like a batter type dough mixture, and it looks something like that. So what I did, and I've done up a whole bunch of these dumplings. What you do is you take your tablespoon and you use a teaspoon to kind of organize it like that. And then when you get to your stock pot, you just scrape off into the boiling water. So make sure that your water is boiling quite quickly, rapidly, and then bring it down to medium boil, and then put it into the boiling water. So as soon as it drops into the water, it's going to start taking shape. It's going to sink to the bottom first of the water, so don't be concerned about that. And then eventually what happens is that it starts floating up to the top of the boiling water. So make sure that you start boiling the water at a rapid level, and then bring your boiling water down to medium boil, and then start adding it as I showed you with a tablespoon and a teaspoon. So it's really practical, because then you can scrape off the dough mixture into the water, and it does sink to the bottom, and then it starts floating up to the top. So what you do is you wait for the dumplings to rise, and then you continue cooking them at a slower boil. So you bring the boil down to a slower boil for an additional 6 minutes. And then you take one of the dumplings out of the water and check to see if it is cooked. So the ones that have floated to the top after the 6 minutes. And then if it's not ready, then you continue to cook the breaded dumplings for an additional 5 minutes. So what I've done is, instead of, because this is a really big pot of hot water, what a safe way to do is to just get a big spoon like this. I've got a little big, sort of a serving spoon like this, and so I just kind of scoop them in. I put them into a colander, and so that way the water drips off of it. So this, I'll just show you what I did here. And I put that beside the pot, a big pot of boiling water, and I just add my dumplings in there, the ones that are finished. So I'm going to show you what they look like. I think these are pretty much drained off. I'm just going to show you what they look like coming out of the so they're going to be different shapes, pretty much different shapes and sizes, but that doesn't matter. So it doesn't have to be a round shape. It's like that, and it's got the ham and the bread crumbs in it, and it's just so delicious with the sauerkraut. So, and I'm going to show you what I did with the sauerkraut. I fried it in some vegetable oil, and I added some Vegeta. You can use a favorite vegetable base of your own. So I've just kind of like fried it down in the frying pan at medium heat for about 15 minutes, and that'll be ready. This is what I would serve with the dumplings. This is what my mom and grandmother would serve with the dumplings, and it has the ham in it. So ham and sauerkraut go great together. So I'm going to continue. I still have some dumplings cooking on the stove there, and I'm going to continue finishing doing the dumplings, and then when I come back, I will show you what this great recipe looks like in a serving dish and on a plate. Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I had on the stove some dumplings that I cooked up, and they're called breaded Hungarian breaded dumplings with there's some ham inside and bread cubes, unflavored bread cubes, when I mix it up with the flour mixture. And then of course I showed you earlier on how to put the dough mixture into the water. Make sure that your water is at a quick boil to begin with, and bring it down to a medium boil, and keep it the boil pretty steady, and then wait for the breaded dumplings to rise to the top. So it takes about 6 minutes to cook. You want to test one. You want to take one out and check to see if it's cooked. If it's not quite ready, then cook it for an additional about 5 minutes. So what I did was I drained it off in a colander, rather than draining off the water in a colander, like taking your actual crock pot and draining off the water in a colander. It's just safer to have a colander with a sort of a stainless steel bowl, and you just put the colander on top, and you use a large spoon to take out the dumplings that are ready, that have come up to the surface of the water. So, and what I did was I melted a tablespoon of butter. So I mentioned a teaspoon, so you'll see in my recipe that I've changed that. That's to a tablespoon of butter. If you want to use more, you can use more. So I think a tablespoon of butter for this many dumplings, you probably need about a tablespoon of butter or margarine. So what I'd like to do is show you what this great recipe looks like in a serving dish. And these are what the dumplings look like. And as you see, you can see the ham inside, and the breadcrumbs, some of the breadcrumbs, bread cubes you can see also inside of the dumplings, and they are very tasty. My husband has already tested them, and he said that they tasted fantastic with the sauerkraut. So what I did was so I'll just put this to the side here. I fried some sauerkraut, Now, when you're preparing the sauerkraut, you need to drain off the juice of the sauerkraut in a colander and then rinse it off with some cold water. And what I would recommend that you do is I recommend that you squeeze out the water, the excess water from the sauerkraut, and then put it into your frying pan, and you need to preheat the vegetable oil to get it ready for the frying. So I've fried the sauerkraut for about 15 minutes, and I continually stirred that. And meanwhile, my dumplings were cooking, so I kind of like synchronized the two together so that I had the sauerkraut would be ready before the dumplings. Now, if you wanted to keep the sauerkraut warm in the oven, you could put it into kind of like a heat-resistant dish and put it into the oven and to keep your sauerkraut warm before your guests arrive, and at about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Just keep your oven warm, and that way your sauerkraut doesn't cool down. And same with your dumplings. You could also put dumplings in a heat-resistant dish to keep them warm in the oven, and then of course they can be served warm for your guests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this great recipe looks like. I'm just going to put a couple of dumplings on here to show you what this looks like on a serving dish. I'll take out about 3, and then I'm going to add the sauerkraut to it. Now you can spoon it on the top of it. You can serve it to the side if you want. It's all. My husband likes to put the sauerkraut on top. I like to put it to the side of the dumplings. So, and this looks great for presentation also. And of course you would have the sauerkraut. If you're serving it to guests, you would have the sauerkraut in a serving dish like this, and the dumplings would be on the serving dish, and put it on the table, and then people would take as many as they wanted to, and take as much sauerkraut as they wanted to add to the dumplings. So if you have any questions or comments regarding this recipe, please feel free to contact me at irene@irinkaskitchen.com or irinkaskitchen.com. Until next time, bon appetit, jo eet vaadjat.